The WNBA has gone eerily quiet, and Angel Reese is absolutely livid. Clark has just broken another major barrier, and this time, the entire league seems to be pretending it never happened. Forbes has just released its 2025 list of the most powerful women in sports, and guess who's sitting at number 4? Above Serena Williams, above Simone Biles, and above Coco Gauff. Yep, Clark is officially the highest-ranked athlete on the entire list. And the league that claims to champion women's empowerment can't even muster a simple congratulations tweet. But just wait until you hear what Angel Reese just did in response. Things are about to get messy. Before we dive into the drama unfolding right now, drop a comment about who you think deserves to be on this list, because what happens next is going to completely change the way you see the WNBA. Forbes didn't just put Caitlin on any random list. They essentially crowned her the queen of women's sports influence, with only 3 billionaire team owners ranked higher than her. Let that sink in for a moment. A 22-year-old guard who's been battling injuries all season just ranked higher in influence than tennis icons and Olympic champions. Meanwhile, Angel Reese, who spent all of 2024 stressing how crucial she is to the league's growth, didn't even make the list. She wasn't even mentioned in the honorable mentions. But that's not the whole story. What Forbes wrote about Caitlin is making waves throughout the sports world. They describe her as the spark that lit the match that set women's sports on fire, and pointed out that she's changing the global perception of how female athletes are valued. And it's not just her on-court skills they're talking about. They're highlighting her $1 million income as a rookie, her high-profile deals with Nike, Wilson, and Gatorade, and how she's fundamentally shifted the economic landscape of women's basketball. Meanwhile, Angel Reese has been posting cryptic messages on social media about how the media picks their favorites and how everyone contributes value to the table. Sure, Angel, everyone brings something to the table, but only one person managed to crash ticketing websites and force arenas to open up upper decks for the first time in years. What happened next shocked everyone. The silence from the WNBA was deafening. Not a single official congratulations from a league office. No retweets from team accounts except, of course, the Indiana Fever. Even players who usually jump at any chance to celebrate women's achievements had nothing to say. You know why? Because deep down, they know Forbes got exactly right. Clark isn't just playing basketball anymore. She's become the product everyone else is trying to sell, whether they admit it or not. When she was healthy and playing earlier this season, before her recent injury setback, she was filling arenas that hadn't seen capacity crowds in a decade. Markets that used to give away tickets were suddenly selling out weeks in advance. Television ratings, which had struggled to break 6 figures, were suddenly hitting the millions. But here's where it gets even more interesting. While Caitlin's been sidelined with her injury over the past few weeks, her influence hasn't wavered. If anything, it's grown. She's been doing charity events, making appearances, and signing deals, and every time she shows up, the WNBA logo is right behind her like a shadow. That's what's really eating at players like Angel Reese. Caitlin doesn't need to be on the court to be the face of the league. She's transcended the game itself and become something much bigger. Remember when everyone said she was just a college sensation who wouldn't translate to the pros? Well, Forbes just ranked her higher than athletes who've been dominating their sports for decades. That's not luck. It's not media bias. That's pure, undeniable impact. But here's where the real tea comes in. What's going on behind the scenes right now? Sources close to several WNBA players are saying there's real frustration about this Forbes ranking, but not for the reasons you might think. They're not mad that Caitlin got recognized. They're mad because it highlights an uncomfortable truth about the league's power dynamics. For years, players have claimed that everyone contributes equally to the WNBA's growth, but Forbes just put a number on influence, and Caitlin's sitting at number 4, while most of them aren't even on the radar. The league is currently in the middle of CBA negotiations, fighting for better revenue sharing and higher salaries. So, who do you think gives them leverage in those talks? The player who brings in millions of viewers, or the ones complaining about her on Twitter? What makes all of this even more explosive is that Angel Reese specifically has been trying to position herself as Caitlin's equal in terms of marketability and influence. She's been pushing the narrative that they're both equally responsible for the increased attention on women's basketball. But Forbes just dropped a truth bomb. Nah, not even close. Caitlin is on the list with billionaires and global icons, while Angel is probably refreshing her mentions, hoping someone will come to her defense. And before anyone claims this is just about race or media favorites, let's be crystal clear about something. Forbes doesn't care about narratives or feel-good storylines. They care about money, influence, and measurable impact. Caitlin Clark generated more revenue for the WNBA in a single season than most players do in their entire careers. That's not an opinion, that's math. The timing of this couldn't be more perfect or more devastating, depending on which side you're on. It's January 2025, and the league is trying to build momentum for the upcoming season. They need storylines. They need drama. They need reasons for fans to tune in. And Forbes just handed them the biggest story imaginable on a silver platter. But instead of celebrating it, half the league is acting like it never happened. You know what's really wild? Sophie Cunningham, who just joined the Indiana Fever this offseason, immediately posted a congratulatory message to her new teammate. Classic Sophie, always a class act, but it also exposes the growing divide within the league. Some players understand that Caitlin's success lifts everyone, while others are too caught up in jealousy to see the bigger picture. Here's what this really means. Forbes doesn't just throw names on a list. They have teams of analysts studying social media engagement, brand value, merchandise sales, media coverage, and real financial impact. Caitlin Clark didn't land on that list by hype. She earned it through influence that can actually be measured in dollars, views, and growth. For Caitlin to rank fourth means she's generating more measurable influence than athletes who've been household names for over 2 decades. Serena Williams sits at number 8. Simone Biles is number 6. These are women who've transcended their sports and become global icons, and yet Caitlin Clark, at just 22 years old and coming off an injury, is ranked above them all. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about her impact, you're simply not paying attention. But here's the part that's going to make Angel Reese and her supporters absolutely lose it. Forbes specifically highlighted that Caitlin's influence extends far beyond basketball. They're talking about her effect on all of women's sports. She's not just transforming the WNBA. She's redefining how female athletes are valued, period. Her endorsement deals aren't just basketball partnerships, they're lifestyle deals. Brands see her as more than an athlete, they see her as a cultural ambassador. Meanwhile, Angel is still trying to convince everyone she's just as marketable, even though her engagement numbers tell a very different story. The most ironic part of all this is watching Caitlin's critics twist themselves into knots. They spent all of 2024 calling her overrated, claiming the media was forcing her down everyone's throats, and saying her popularity was manufactured. And now Forbes, a publication that deals strictly in data, influence, and dollars, has just proven that everything her supporters have been saying all along was right. This isn't ESPN hyping her up for ratings. This isn't some basketball blog pushing an agenda. This is Forbes, the publication that tracks billionaires and measures real power. They don't hand out participation trophies, and they definitely don't care about hurt feelings. You want to know what actual power looks like? When Caitlin was healthy and announced she'd be playing in a certain city, that city's economy got a boost. Hotels sold out. Restaurants saw surges in traffic. Local businesses made more money. That's not just being a great basketball player. That's being an economic force. Angel Reese can average all the double-doubles she wants, but she's not moving markets like that. And before anyone says this is unfair, let's stick to the facts. Look at the attendance numbers when Caitlin plays versus when she doesn't. Look at the merchandise sales. Look at the TV ratings. The data doesn't lie, even when players' egos wish it did. What's really going to sting for Angel, and for others in the league, is that this Forbes ranking isn't going anywhere. It's now part of Caitlin Clark's permanent resume, a measurable, undeniable marker of her power, influence, and lasting impact. Years from now, when people look back on Caitlin Clark's career, they'll talk about how she was ranked among the most powerful women in sports before she even finished her second season. That's legacy material. That's the kind of recognition that transcends the game itself. And the beautiful irony, while her critics are wasting energy being angry about it, Caitlin is probably somewhere quietly working on her shot, preparing for her return from injury, completely unbothered by the noise. The WNBA has a choice to make right now. It can either embrace its biggest star and ride the wave she's creating, or it can keep up this strange Cold War, where half the league pretends she doesn't exist while cashing the checks her popularity helps generate. Because let's be real, every player in the WNBA benefits from Caitlin Clark's presence, whether they want to admit it or not. Higher ratings mean better TV deals. Better TV deals mean more revenue for everyone. More revenue means higher salaries, better travel, better facilities, better everything. But some players seem to prefer being petty over being prosperous. Here's something else worth thinking about. Forbes ranking Caitlin this high sends a powerful message to every young girl playing basketball right now. It says women's sports can create real superstars, athletes who rival anyone in any sport. It says female athletes can build empires, not just careers. It says the ceiling for what's possible in women's basketball has been completely shattered. But instead of celebrating that, we've got players like